Wow, I have outdone myself today. I'm wearing pants. What progress we love to see. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about, unfortunately, again, Columbiners. I'm going to give you a minute to let out the sigh, potentially maybe a hysterical shriek if you know what we're in for, and I'm going to release mine now. If you don't know this, I'm sorry to impart this information on you, but what am I really here for other than making your existential despair worse? So, there's a community. They're called Columbiners. They stand Columbine. Yes, the mass shooting. This is a terrible world we live in. I made videos about them prior because they're terrible, essentially, but they've made it onto Twitter. I kind of knew they were on Twitter, but I found some tweets that are just terrible, like the community. And I also looked into Tumblr once more to see what our pals are up to, our delusional, killer, obsessed, I'm not like the other stands pals. As someone on Twitter very eloquently said, let's call them what they really are, murder simps, which I think is kind of funny, and that's pretty much the last laugh we're getting out of this video, so buckle up, bitches, this is gonna be a bad one. So the consistent thread that goes through Columbiners' brains, in my opinion, is that they have some kind of connection with the two Columbine killers, and they feel like they would have been an exception. So, like, had they been at the school the day of the mass shooting, they think probably they would be saved, or that Dylan and Eric would have some kind of affinity with them. And I mean, like, that's obviously very delusional, because what makes you that special in your opinion that you would just be saved and you know them better than anyone else and you just so relate to them? And I mean, I think one of the worst parts about this is that they attach themselves to the true crime community, also known as the TCC on Tumblr. And as someone who is part of the true crime community, not the delusional one, the one that's just interested in crime, it's kind of alarming and frustrating that they're kind of making it seem like we're all like them. This Tumblr blog is called Eric's Rebel, and it says, I wish you didn't commit suicide so I can ride your school shooter dick. Reblog if you agree. I truly, at this point, don't even know what to tell you. The fetishizing, the glamorizing, the whole concept of creating this alternate reality where a school shooter would make you his girl, his guy, whatever you identify as. I don't know. Maybe I have some mental issue, but for me, it's kind of hard to get past the small detail of someone being a school shooter, so that would kind of get in the way of any fantasizing I would do. Even as a 15-year-old, I'd be like, yeah, that's not something that's gonna happen in my brain, because there's that little red flag that says this person shot up a school and disregarded other human lives, causing pain and suffering, not only for the victims, but also for the families. So that little red flag stops me. I don't know why it doesn't stop any of these people. Dylan blinks. Me. Oh my god, what a perfect ray of sunshine. Isn't he beautiful? Oh sweet Jesus, I'm gonna cry. He's so amazing. My baby. I will love and protect him for the rest of my life. Bless this boy and his beauty. Another aspect of this that I think is truly unfortunate is that once upon a time, people like this would just send letters directly to people in prison, and none of us would have to hear about it. Now, of course, there's still people who send letters to people in prison. Obviously, they couldn't hear because they're no longer with us. But once upon a time, this stuff was private. Like, you'd write it in your diary, and little old me would not have to know anything about it, and I maybe wouldn't be the cynical bitch. No, I'd still be a cynical bitch. But you might say, yeah, some of these blogs are, like, anonymous, but at the same time, it doesn't even really matter, because even if I know your name, it doesn't really change the fact that you're putting this depraved shit out there, and you're kind of like okay with that. That's the thing that I'm also confused about. Why is this a point of pride for certain people? It's fine to be proud to be knowledgeable about true crime. It's another thing to be proud of wanting to do things to the genitals of mass shooters. New case, who this? I don't think I'll ever use the Columbine one in public. It's a little too much. Someone needs to take my credit card away from me. Oh, also I didn't refer to this because it's kind of off topic, but there's also on one of the cases Dylan Roof, who was a white supremacist and a mass shooter as well, so overall just fuckery. God. It's nice that there's a tiny bit of self-awareness here because, well, a tiny, very small salt granule size of self-awareness that's like, oh, it's a little too much. So at least there's some form of embarrassment here that's like, yeah, this is fucked up, which I guess is the first step in the right direction. I might be too positive on that. This whole concept of finding a photo, cropping it so that it fits on a case in a nice, aesthetically pleasing way. God, why am I talking about aesthetically pleasing of a picture of a murderer? That in and of itself is concerning, but it takes quite some effort, and I know that because anytime I've made a phone case, I usually do it with like family pictures though. A little bit different, I can use it in public. It's kind of a bitch, to be honest, because most of the time the crop is hard, or it looks weird, or it looks pixelated. These people went through all of that to make and pay real money for a case with a murderer on it. That to me is already something I cannot relate to truly, but also if you're really a stan of the mass shooters, how do you think their parents would feel about you being this way? Even if you're not going to respect the victims, are you at least going to respect the people you claim to so idolize and love, and they're your sweet ooh-woo quirky boy? Like, what do you think the parents would think of what you're doing? I'm just wondering, how do you justify that one? So then there's also inner stan beef between different murderer stans, which is something that I really wish were not true in 2020, and yet here we are. This year is giving 2016 a true run for its money. So here it says, to Columbiners who hate on cruisers. Dear Columbiners, you cannot say Nicholas Cruz is sickening and you can't love him because that's hypocrisy. Extreme hypocrisy. Acknowledging you're all doing the same to Eric and Dylan, but deny the cruisers their right to love someone who has done the equivalent thing as Harris and Klebold did because of Cruz's actions. That's disrespectful and ignorant. Love is love. If you're a Columbine blog and you're calling Nicholas Cruz blogs disgusting, you're acting disgusting. They're not hurting anyone. And even if they were, leave them alone. If it's really severe, report them. Thank you. I'm not a cruiser nor a Columbiner. Don't be a hypocrite and leave them alone. The sole fact that different murderer stans are telling the other stans, oh, you can't like Cruz, who I covered as well, but you can like Eric and Dylan. I don't understand what the logic is there, to be honest. And it's kind of funny because anytime I make a video like this, I get spammed because just another community I'm enemies with, I guess. I get spammed with, what's your problem? We're allowed to do this, blah, blah, blah. It is truly hypocritical. Obviously, they're both wrong, but it's kind of funny to me that they're so invested in this community that they want to decide. They want to gatekeep, really. I certainly found that interesting. God knows what kind of turf wars are going on there. This one I want to think is fake or like a parody, and I'm gonna convince myself of that, even though I've seen too much of this and know too much to know that it's not a parody. Dating Eric headcanons. Watching scary violent movies on dates and having him comfort you if you got scared. Him teaching you how to shoot a gun. The emojis, that's what makes it seem like a parody, but him being low-key sadistic. Cuddles, oh my god. Shooting short films together. Him buying you a black trench coat. Getting into a serious fight that always ends in makeup sex. Him occasionally spoiling you, and when he does it, he spoils you hard, and that's all I have right now for Eric. Stay tuned for my dating Dylan headcanons. I'm gonna call my mom. I want her to take me home. She needs to pick me up because things like this seem like parodies, but then you see the accounts they come from and you're like, oh no, I was too positive. See, this is why you end up being entirely cynical, because the few times I give the benefit of the doubt, it's not deserved. And then last of all, it would not be Tumblr if we did not have the aesthetics. Now, I clown on Tumblr a lot, but I'm still on it. I've been on it for 10 years. But they truly are great for aesthetic pictures. That being said, a Columbine aesthetic is not, in my opinion, appropriate. So here it is. There's blood. There's see you in hell. There's the back of someone's neck. I don't know what that's about. Well, actually, it might have a very grim connotation now that I say it out loud. The aesthetic. We are talking about a mass shooting aesthetic. God damn it. God damn it. God damn it. It's not an aesthetic, it's a shooting. It's a shooting. You are talking about a crime scene aesthetic. Crime scene with real deaths. Hello, like, I'm calling, God's not answering. I cannot with these people, truly. I do have advice though, and my advice is knock it off. You're gonna be really embarrassed about this in maybe even a year, to be honest, depending on how young you are. It's gonna be very embarrassing. It's really not worth being a murderer simp. It's disrespectful, obviously. Don't think that one needs to really be explained. But there are better things you can invest your time in. And I would strongly even suggest to stay in the true crime community, but go to the more mentally healthy side where instead of idolizing a serial killer or something like that, you can read about them all day and find out and talk to other people who like true crime. It's a great community on our side, the side who just enjoys finding things out, not enjoys the fact that murders happen. It's a good side to be on, to be educated about it while maintaining a healthy sense of empathy. Anyways, guys, I probably ruined your day with that one. Apologies, but it really does grate my gears because it's just, I don't understand. I do not understand, and I hate it here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.